What is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. I am very grateful to have your attention, at least for the next 15 minutes of this episode. Forward Thinking Founders is a podcast where I interview pre-seed and seed stage founders about their products, what they want to build into the world, and why. We dive into how they spend their time, what's their vision, what's the origin stories, all these things, so you can learn all about what's coming tomorrow. Because these companies haven't hit critical scale yet. Most of them haven't hit product market fit. These are just early stage companies, and the big question is, what can this be? And in this podcast, we bring that out. So with that, I really hope you enjoy your time listening to today's episode. And I've already done 200 plus, so if you like this one, listen to some of the other ones, like with Imadi Kund, Austin Allred, Leah Culver. We have great interviews, so check it out, enjoy the repository, and for now, let's get into today's episode. Here we go. All right. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders, where we talk to founders about their companies, their visions for the future, and how the two collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Roby, who's a co-founder of Jitter. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
I'm good. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. Looking forward to learning more about what you are working on. For people that haven't heard of your company, what is it? What is Jitter?
So basically, Jitter is a motion design tool on the web. So we enable designers and creatives to make animated videos or website demos or apps or animated marketing content easily. So you can think of it as Figma, but for motion design.
So walk me through a little bit about how it works, or like when I would use it. Someone just heard about it on the internet. What's the user experience of someone using it?
Yeah, sure. So actually, the workflow is pretty simple. First, you create your design in Jitter, or you can import it from Figma. Then you select your layers, and you can add animations to them. And finally, you export them as a GIF. I never know how to say this, but as a GIF or a video. And so what's interesting is that we take a different approach from traditional animation tools. Usually they work with keyframes. So for instance, you have to say at time 0, the opacity is 0%. Then you move the time cursor to 1 second. And then you say, okay, at 1 second, the opacity is 100%. And then the tool interpolates between these two values. But so it means that you have to manually describe the state of the world at every point in time. So for every single layer and every property of every single layer. And so this is why it's both cumbersome and time consuming. And so instead, we would take the approach. We would take an approach where you can give instructions to your objects, like slide in or fade out. So it's a little bit like being a director in a movie where you can tell your objects what to do. And so it's much more natural. And the other advantage of that is that you can create your animations, so your own slide in, and then you can reuse them everywhere. You can just copy and paste them to the other objects. And so it's a huge improvement in the workflow. And this is why our users are telling us that it helps them build things 10x faster than After Effects.
And tell me kind of what was interesting about the space state you started in it, or in other words, what's the origin story for Jitter?
So I have a background in computer science, but I quickly turned designer. And in my work, I often had to make a quick demo of a concept or an interface. And I was struck by how hard it was to make a simple animation with existing tool. And so I often resorted to code, which is kind of crazy. And this is when I met Etienne, my co-founder, who had just sold his previous company to GoPro. So they were making a mobile video editor, which became Quick. So similarly, when developing their app, he realized how important motion was for their users and how hard it was to create those effects. So this is when we met through common friends. And so we knew there was something to do to make motion design more simple. So we started to talk to lots of potential users, launched quite a lot of prototypes that didn't work on Product Hunt until we found something that clicked, and which was basically making the Figma for motion design.
And as you work on Jitter, like what do you spend your time on in an average day?
So for me, that would be three things. The first one is product. So talking to users a lot, understand what features they need, plan the roadmap and design those features. Then I do quite a lot of growth as well. So like, for instance, at the moment, we have a lot of traction with influencers on social media. Like they love the tool and they love to talk about it. So you have to organize those things. And the last bit is hiring to like build a super strong core team. And then so I also have a lot of admin and founder stuff, but it's much less interesting than the three others.
And if you were to look out into the future 5, 10, 15 years, what would you say the big vision is for Jitter? Or in other words, what does the world look like, when Jitter wins?
Yeah. So I'd say that we believe that a lot of what we see in the world right now is constrained by the tools we have. And we think that with the right tools, content creators can make a living by doing what they love and fill the world with great, amazing, beautiful things. And so it just comes down to the tool, and we want to make that tool for motion design. So I would say that a good comparison is Webflow. So first you build the editor, and this is where we're at now. Like we just want to make the best editor for motion design. And then once you have it, you can start to build the ecosystem around it with designers who can create templates for their teams or for the world to reuse, and who can even propose their services as freelancers on your platform. So yeah, this is basically what we want to do.
And in order to make that vision come to life, you'll need some help, right? It takes a village to make a startup work. So my question for you is, how can the forward-thinking founders community help? Are you hiring, raising capital, looking for customers? How can we assist?
Yeah, so I would say two things. The first one is, I think that everybody knows a designer who hates After Effects. So it would be great if you could talk to them about Jitter. And no offense to Adobe, like they're doing a fantastic job for the creative industry. And the second thing, yes, is hiring. So right now we're hiring in growth, product, and development. So yeah, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be super happy to tell you more about the positions and what we're doing. And my email is Roby, so ROBI @jitter.video.
All right, and just to make sure we cover all the bases, if someone wanted to learn more on Jitter online, where can they find you? What's your website one more time? Do you have social media, or what's your email? How can someone kind of get in touch?
Yeah, so the website is jitter.video, so GITTER.video, and all of our social handles are a variation of Jitter video, sometimes with the dot, sometimes with the with the underscore. But yeah, this is where you can find us.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was great talking to you.